It is Mom to Wife of One. Thank you guys so much for coming to my channel or coming back to my channel, depending on who you are. If you're coming back to my channel, thank you guys so much. I'm sorry this video was late, but I'm here to do the review and recap of Married at First Sight, Season 17, Episode 2. If you guys are just clicking my channel for the first time, hey, and welcome. I'm Mama to Wife 1. I'm an influencer. I am a mother. I'm a wife. I'm an author. I'm a literary editor. I'm an avid reader. I'm a few different things. But before I get into the review and recap of Married at First Sight, which is what this video is about, I first want to point out something. I'm wearing my bright blue earrings. I have a hoodie with blue on it today because, for those of you who may or may not know, today is the first day of Rhovember. It is the month where the ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, of which I'm a proud member, we take over the entire month because this is the month that we were founded. And this is my first Rhovember since I just became a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated in May of this year. So I just wanted to say yip to all of my sorors. I love you guys. I'm so excited to share my first Rhovember with you. In addition to this being the month that my illustrious sorority was founded, this is also my birthday month. My birthday is in, I don't want to say how many days, I don't know when you're watching this. My birthday is on November 6th. I'm a proud Scorpio, so I'm excited for that as well. So I just want to give myself a shout out for turning 42 years old in a few days. I'm excited. I am proud of my age. No shame whatsoever. But yeah, so that's it. That's just my personal thing. I just wanted to get out the way. So now, let's get Married at First Sight. So this is the episode where we had two more weddings. We had Lauren and Orion, and I believe we had Austin and Becca that got married. And they showed a little bit of Claire and Cameron about to walk down the aisle. But this is my thing. So we had, last week, we had the guy, Michael, one of the grooms, who was basically stood up at the altar. So we kind of already knew this. They had teased this before the show even started, before the season started. And so last week we saw him, getting ready. We saw him picking out his tux. We saw him go to the wedding, waiting at the altar for like 20 minutes for this girl. We see the back of her. She goes up to him. She says, "I can't do this." She walks away. So I'm like, oh, that's so sad. And then, of course, we see him crying. We see his boys, consoling him, all that good stuff. Why are we back to seeing Michael? It's like an extended version of what we saw last week, but I guess it's more of the preparation, more of the conversations with his boys about what he's looking for in a wife, what he really hopes to happen from this marriage. But it's like, I feel like because this stuff was filmed so long ago, re-showing this stuff is torture for him. It's like he's reliving this all over again. It was already embarrassing and heart-wrenching the first time around. And so to show it again, it's like, why? We know what happened. Why are we doing this again? But it shows her coming up the aisle. She's basically, whatever she's saying, I can't do this. I thought I could, whatever. And he handles it with grace and with humility. And he's very understanding. She's like, "You're just such an amazing guy. And I just thank you so much for making this, basically just not berating me and just treating me with kindness in this moment." And she gave the gift back to him that he apparently gave her. She wrote him a letter basically saying, "You're this wonderful, amazing guy." And, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, who cares at this point? We already know what happened. So seeing all of this, again, just seems like torture. And I guess they have to fill in that time by showing some of this footage. But it just seems really unnecessary to me. But some questions I had. When are we going to see the experts step in and say something to him? I thought, again, and so one of my viewers said this last week or a couple weeks ago, which I really appreciate. And I thought it was an amazing idea, that at least one of the experts should be at all of the weddings, right? And if that had happened, the expert could have been there to talk to the bride after she decided not to do whatever, and then talk to Michael to say something, I don't know, words of encouragement or whatever. But because of the timeline, it's so weird. Even though we've had 2 weeks of seeing Michael, it's still the same day. So we're talking a few hours of him being jolted at the altar. So I guess it does make sense we haven't seen the experts yet. But I'm hoping we'll see that in the future. And I did hear a possible spoiler. I don't know how true this is, guys. So don't shoot the messenger because I don't know for certain. I heard that possibly this season, Michael is going to get married to somebody else. That they're going to find him somebody and kind of give him a redo, a re-over or whatever, a do-over, that's what it is, and get him a new bride. I don't know how valid that is, but that is what I heard. So we'll have to stay tuned to see if that actually happens. And I don't know how I feel about that necessarily, but if it happens, we'll address it. We'll see, what that means. I did want to talk about what he wore. He wore he wore pink and purple striped socks with a pink bow tie and an all black tux. And I liked that. I thought it spoke to his individuality, to him liking to take chances with his fashion and just, being free and just having fun. I appreciated that. I appreciated that she came to the altar to tell him face to face that she couldn't do it. She could have just not shown up. So I'll give her props for that. He thinks that marriage might not be in the cards for him. His friends stuck around and played pool, like, after everything went down. They're, like, in the groom's changing area, and they're just, like, playing pool to pass the time. But I'm like, I would have been left. Like, as soon as that happened, we don't need to go and debrief. She said, no, she can't do this. I'm not about to stick around and go to a reception where I'm just the only person there. So obviously the wedding's canceled. Obviously the reception is canceled. What I might do is go to the reception and get me a plate because, hey, the food's already been paid for. So I might get me a couple plates to tide me over. And then I'm going home. I'm not about to stick around and play pool. I'm not about to stick around and talk about my feelings. I'm not about to stick around and do anything. Like, he had to be, he didn't have to. After she went back up the aisle, he stayed at the altar hugging all of his family and friends. Like, I would have been like, I don't need this from y'all. Give me a hug later. Let me go home and decompress and really just analyze exactly what's happened. Let me get my feelings under control. And then I can get back to, like, being in the regular world with you guys and just chilling. But right then and there, I don't want to be consoled. Not on camera, not by every person in my family. He literally had to stand up, not had to. He literally chose to stand up there and hug all his family and friends who, like, feel bad for him. I'm like, I'm not doing none of that. Deuces. Y'all call me later and check on me. I don't want to do this right now. Right now, I want to go home. For me, my comforting, especially this time of year, go home, put on some comfy pajamas, sweatpants, give me a nice hot cup of cocoa with a, like, hot chocolate bomb in that mofo, fireplace going, and I'm watching a Hallmark Christmas movie. That is my downtime. That is my safe space right now. Let me do that for a couple of days, and then I can come back out and we can talk about feelings. He's better than me, because I'm like, nope, not doing none of this. He did say he doesn't want the incident to have a negative influence on him as it comes to dating and trusting people, and he still wants to be a husband. So I think that's supposed to be our key, like our little Easter egg that, maybe he'll still be a husband. Again, I don't know how valid that rumor is, but we'll see. But I did say, if he doesn't get a wife, please let this be the last time we see this man. We get it. The lady left, stood him up at the altar. He didn't get married. He signed up for this. It's something he really wanted. He's devastated. We understand all of that. If we have another week happen where we see him again that same day or the next day and he's still sad and we're still rehashing everything that happened, I'm going to be upset. Let this man rest. Let him chill out just a little bit. That's my personal opinion. Emily and Brennan were the first couple to get married last week and the first week of the show. And I liked, and I said that before, she immediately talked about her never being in a relationship, which, again, you shouldn't be married because why would you do that? I also had a question. Whose bright idea was it to get married? And I'm assuming it's winter time. It's snow on the ground, so we're going to assume it's winter, but it's also Denver, Colorado. I don't know how many months out of the year they actually get snow. I don't live in an area where it snows outside of winter, so I don't really know what the weather situation is in Denver. I know it's cold there, though. So whose bright idea was it, assuming it's winter, to get married during the winter, A? And then for some of the couples, once they got married, right? Well, the location when they got married, they had to walk outside to get to the place where they actually got married. And then once the couple gets married, at least for Emily and Brendan, I think for Austin and Becca as well, they came back outside and they're popping their champagne outside, wearing their bubble coats and their fake furs or whatever. It's like, y'all couldn't find a place inside for them to do that? For them to have their first, like, real conversation and laugh, giggle, kiss, whatever. Y'all couldn't find an inside place? Or why are they outside in the cold wearing bubble coats? It's snow. Like, and I would imagine a city like Denver, which I've never been to before, obviously, but because I've heard that it's cold, I would imagine they have several wedding vendors, wedding locations where they have inside parts to it because of the fact that it's always cold. So I thought that was kind of strange. I was like, I don't understand this. Brendan likes the vibes between him and Emily. He said that she's bubbly. But in their first conversation, they're talking about alcohol and dogs that they want. And I'm like, granted, there's no right or wrong way to have the first conversation with the stranger that you just married. But I feel like for me, especially having been a former reporter, I ask a lot of questions, right? I like to know things. I want to believe that my first questions are going to be a little deeper, at least something, even not even deeper, something practical like, hey, what's your name again? What's your last name? How old are you? What do you do? Where do you live? Why did you sign up for this? Is your family, like, I'm going to ask questions like that. I'm not going to ask what kind of dogs you want in the potential future, assuming we're actually still together. I don't care about that right now. That's not important. Let's talk about the real stuff that I need to know about. You know what I'm saying? Do you have any vices? Have you ever been locked up? I know they do background checks, but that don't mean someone that has a past doesn't get chosen for the show. That could mean that, the experts found them redeemable. I still need to know these things. Like, let me know. So I thought those were really dumb questions, but then I had to remind myself they are also 29 and 28 years old. I'm about to be 42. So the questions I'm going to ask as an almost 42-year-old are going to be different from someone who's in their 20s. So I was like, you know what? I'll give them that. I get it. I do want to talk about, so the next couple that got married was Austin and Becca. I will say, just from their whole scene together of them going dress shopping and tuxedo shopping and them actually getting married, their wedding, they gave me the energy that I want on this show. Some people watch the show because they want the drama. I've never been like that as a fan of the show. I like seeing people genuinely like each other, genuinely fall for each other, and then legitimately and genuinely make it work. I like seeing the actual love story unfold. For Austin and Becca, it's too early to say if love is going to happen, obviously, because they just got married. But the energy was absolutely everything that I look for in the couples on the show. And it made me so happy to see them together. Specifically, I love them together. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. They went dressed in tuxedo shopping. I thought it was interesting that she is the wedding photographer that has pink hair. She kind of thinks outside the box. She's a creative. She's free-spirited. But a dress I thought was very traditional. It was long sleeve. It had a little bit of sleeve, so the girls were sitting up nice and high. But for the most part, it was I won't say a plain dress, but it fit her nicely. And she was comfortable in it. She's also the one that has, I believe it's an autoimmune disease, and she's a little nervous about telling him about that. She has like a scar. And so I think she just wanted something that wasn't pressing against her scar, something that was a little, flowing. And it was fine. It was cool. She had an appendectomy for endometriosis. That's what she has. I keep forgetting that. They both said that they were kind of outlandish in their style, but then they both kind of went with very traditional clothing, which I thought was interesting. And one thing I did ask, she had surgery, right? She had an appendectomy. I've never had an appendectomy before. I assume that left some kind of a scar. And I was curious how the surgery has impacted how she feels about her body. Because at some point, assuming things go well with Austin, assuming that, you guys get intimate at some point he's going to see you naked. And even on the honeymoon, you might be wearing clothing that may show different things. I wonder if she's already kind of nervous about letting him know that she has this issue, that she has endometriosis. And I wonder, again, if that's impacted how she feels about her body, is impacted her self-esteem in any way. Is she nervous about showing her body? Does she, with her being creative and funky with her clothing, whatever, does she do that because she's actually really quirky, or because she's so self-conscious that she wants to think of creative ways to hide her body? So I don't know if that'll come up in the future, but it's just something that I was kind of curious about. His friends said that he needs to be motivated to do what he needs to do. And they said that he's indecisive and needs someone that matches his goofy. This is what his friends said to him, right? And I like that, because I talked about Michael, how he had the funky socks. Austin's socks were red with white polka dots. And I love that. I thought that was it was just cute. It's just a nice little personal touch. So she's also nervous about telling her about her sickness. And I was wondering, how soon do you tell somebody about that? It's different when you're dating a person. You have some time. And if it doesn't work out, then it's like, okay, I didn't burden you with that. I don't need to tell you because we're just dating. We're not married yet. You don't need to know that information about me. But they're starting off being married. So I wonder if it's going to be like the other girl. What's the other girl's name? The other girl that just got married, Emily. It was going to be like her, where she told him, like, right up front her flaws, I guess, in her vows. Becca didn't mention anything in her vows, but I'm curious in their first conversations if it's going to come up. or if her friend's going to spill the beans. Because obviously that's a big part of her. And because I'm not overly familiar with endometriosis, I don't know what kind of treatment that includes. I don't know if she has to have regular surgeries, regular checkups. I don't know if she has to take regular medication. I don't know if the medication like makes her loopy, makes her sick. I don't know what that entails. So I think that will probably that will probably influence her decision on when she should tell him. Because obviously, if it's something where it's like, oh, I only get medication every 3 months. Okay, well, this experiment is 8 weeks, so it may not last those 3 months. So, I don't necessarily need to tell you. So I'm just curious, because again, I don't know about endometriosis. I don't know what that looks like for her on a day-to-day basis. So I think that'll kind of, again, determine her decision on when or if she'll ever tell him. I'm assuming she will at some point, but we will see. Let's see. She gifted him a camera because she's a wedding photographer. She gifted him a camera. He gifted her perfume that happens to be her favorite perfume that she already wears every day. I was like, ooh, that is a very good sign. And also said that gifts can be a great way to put a stranger at ease. My husband and I didn't give each other gifts. I've seen it before, but it just didn't dawn on either of us to do that. I think it's great when they do it on this show, because I think, again, it's a great way to put the stranger at ease and also to allow the stranger to kind of get a glimpse of who they're about to get married to. But gifts can also be a red flag depending on what it is. So it can be kind of hit or miss. I loved that Austin made one of his friends his flower man. And the dude had like 2 fanny packs, and one had rose petals. So he's like tossing them up in the air. And the other one had like little small travel size bottles of booze, and he's just like handing them out to people. I was like, I love this. It was really cute, nice and quirky, nice and just relaxing. I feel like that kind of put everybody at ease as well. So I really like that. His mom seemed to kind of come around. She was not on board with this whole process, and I think she still isn't on board with it, but she did say that she hopes he finds love. And I said that agree or disagree, her being there is important to him, so I'm glad that she came. But I thought about this. If your family is really against this process, or I'm not saying against you getting married, but just against this process of you getting married at first sight, is it better for them not to come and spread their negativity around? Or do you still want them there? Because I feel like even if they come, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in support of your decision. That could just mean they're in support of you. And if they come there and they still are against it, then again, you run the chance of them talking to your now wife or husband. You run the chance of them talking to your now in-laws or your spouse's friends or whatever, and still spouting their negativity, and could possibly sabotage what you're trying to build with this person as well. So I don't know if it's good or bad. I think it probably depends on the family member or the friend that is like has iffy feelings about it. Obviously, if it's a parent, you want your parent there for big moments in your life like that, so I get it. But I was thinking that that could kind of be a hit or miss, depending on how strongly they feel about what you're doing. But hopefully she's fine. I loved that when Becca entered this church, or not church, but entered the place where she's getting married. Most brides come in, they got their mom or their dad on their arm or whatever, and they come in and they're looking nervous, but they're smiling, looking at their family, looking at the other family, and like, oh my gosh, there's my husband, hi husband, and just kind of still being nervous, but still showing some kind of excitement, like, okay, I'm here, I see you, this is great. Becca saw everybody, was like, oh my gosh, hi guys, I just want to hug everybody. My girl skipped down the aisle to Austin, and when he saw her and saw her energy, and I'm hoping like he saw her and thought she was pretty as well, he just started like getting choked up and was teary-eyed, and he didn't expect to have that reaction. I don't think anybody expected that, but he just seemed so overwhelmed in the best possible way. Like, oh my gosh, this girl is pretty, and she's actually excited to see me. That is an amazing feeling, whether the person's a stranger or not. That is a great feeling when you're so nervous in your own head, feeling whatever you're feeling, and the person is genuinely excited to see you. That immediately puts you at ease. So I love the fact that he was brought to tears. I love that she was so excited that, again, she did not walk down this aisle and walk on the flower petals. She skipped, almost ran down the aisle to her now husband and gave him the biggest hug. And I was like, this energy is everything. It was so refreshing to see, and it just made me happy That was probably my favorite part of all of this episode, was like, look at them. They are, yes, do that. It was really sweet. I really appreciate it. So I said that he cried, and her family said that she's strong-minded and likes to take charge. She is forward and transparent. And his family said he loves outdoor adventure, and both families commented about the fact that they're both late all the time. And I thought was funny that both families included that. And his family also said that his top trait is loyalty, and he wants to make people around him feel loved. In their vows, she talked about a video game console, and it was PS4, I don't play video games, but she mentioned some video console, and he's like, oh my gosh, I have the same one. She's like, oh my gosh, who's your character on Mario Kart? Whatever that means. They have the exact same character. I was like, okay, this is looking good. They already can see just in this first few moments of being married or getting married how much they have in common. I think that bodes very well for them in the future of other things they'll have in common. So I thought that was cool. She's Jewish, and so she had him break the glass per the Jewish custom, and they shared an open mouth kiss. So I was like, oh, excuse the freak out of me. All right. And so far, I put so far they're my MVP couple. It's early, obviously, but the energy just really blew me away. And then when they went back and are having their first conversation, she asked them questions like, what does he do for work and where he lives? And like, these are the kind of questions you're supposed to be asking. So that's pretty much all I had with them, but I was so excited. That just made me so, so happy, you guys. You don't understand. I was like, look at them. Yes. And then the next couple to get married was Lauren and Orion. If you remember, Lauren is 31, Orion is 27. Orion is Native American or American Indian. I think Native American. Lauren is Black. And I was curious what will cause her pause more, his age or his race. Would she care about the fact that he is 4 years younger? He's 27, she's 31. 4 years is not a long time. I mean, not long. It's not like a great amount of time necessarily, but some women may have kind of an issue if I'm in my 30s marrying somebody in their 20s, but some people, may have a little issue with it. So I was curious to know if either one of those things would be like an invisible red flag for her. He said he's been looking for the one since he was 13. He's always wanted to get married. It's based off of his grandparents. And when she's talking to her girls, when she's getting ready about what the guy looks like and what he hopes, and she was like, I'm not as focused on what he looks like because I think that can grow over time. I'm not curious, but I really want him to be kind. And, I think the attraction will grow if he's just a kind person with a good heart. He basically said the same thing. So I was like, okay, they're both thinking the same way. So that's kind of cool. Then I put that they're both thinking pragmatically about what they want and what they hope for. So I appreciated that. And also appreciated that he said to his boys, I want to focus more on what I want in a marriage. And I love that because he did not say, I want to focus on what I want in a wife. I want to focus on what I want in a marriage. Those are two very distinctive things. And I appreciate that that's where his focus is, because you can't focus so much on what you want in a wife. Because a lot of times people who focus so much on what they want in a wife or a husband or their spouse, they're going to be focused on how that person does not measure up to what they envision in their head. And they're not going to focus at all on what that person needs from them as a husband, wife, spouse, whatever. So the fact that his focus on marriage means that he's going to be looking at his role and her role and making sure that they are fulfilling each other's wants and needs, because that obviously will create a successful marriage. So I love the fact that was his focus. That really made me happy that he worded it in that way. And they gave gifts to each other. She gave him a flask of rum, and he gave her a turquoise to bring his ancestry to the forefront. And I love the fact that he is very much about his culture. She says she's about her culture as well, but he put his culture there from the very beginning by giving her turquoise. He had traditional man bun in his head that was indicative of his culture as well. And earrings, that was part of his culture. So I like the fact that he's putting everything out there, right from the beginning, this is very important to me. This is part of who I am. I'm not hiding anything. This is who I am. So hopefully you're on board with learning more about my culture. And she seems like she is, which is good. He thanked his mom for pouring into him and said that she, and I guess, I don't know if it's she and his dad, but that she gives him strength and that his parents are 100% supportive, which I thought was great. Her mom passed away a few months ago, and she carried a picture of her mom on her on a keychain that was in her bouquet so that her mom could be there with her. Her brother and her father walked down the aisle and says they both smiled at each other. She complimented his earrings. Her family said that she stands out and does her own thing. She's adventurous and free-spirited. His family said women are strong, and he believes women are strong. He admires their independence, and he is spontaneous, generous, and kind, which is the main thing she wanted. I love one thing she said in her vow. She said she promises to stay curious and critical. No, curious, not critical, I think, which I like. So that means I'm going to continuously want to learn more about you, but not criticize you for who you are. I appreciate that she put that in there. Another note I had, because this is Married at First Sight and you're just meeting the person at the altar, I know the vows have been written, obviously, hundreds, thousands of years ago, whatever. So they're pretty concrete with, do you take this woman, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think the word love should be in the vows on this show. Like, I can't promise to love you because I don't know if we're going to last past these 8 weeks or not. I feel like that, so the vow is essentially a promise that you're making before God, before all your family and friends. I feel like there should be maybe specific vows for the show, or just, again, omit the word love. I think that's kind of pressure that people say those vows and they think they're supposed to stick by them. Not think, but they focus so much on sticking by those particular vows that they tend to ignore other things that may not be going right. And they may stay in a marriage longer than they're supposed to. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I think I thought about that. This is all the years watching the show. It's my first time thinking about I don't know. They kissed at the altar. It was a nice long kiss, which is great. And I always mention they kiss at the altar because through the history of the show, that does not always happen. Sometimes the woman is a little finicky or she's shy. I don't kiss strangers, and the man has to kiss her on the cheek, or she'll direct him to kiss her on the cheek. So that's why I always make a note of when they actually kiss at the altar, because in years past that has not always been the case. So far we've had 3 weddings and all 3 couples have kissed on the mouth at the altar. So that's why I always mention that in my reviews. His family seemed to like what they heard about her. She said that he's tall and cute, and she didn't flinch at his age. I was like, oh, okay. And they also talked about, I guess, zodiac. So I know my sign is a Scorpio. I said that from the beginning. But apparently there's like, oh, my rising sign is this and my moons. I don't know any of that other stuff. But whatever those 3 signs are, they have the exact same signs. They're both Sagittarius, but I guess all the other rising sign, moon sign, whatever the terminology is, all of those signs are the same for them as well. And I said, I don't attribute to zodiac like that and attribute to what traits are for each individual sign. But I don't know if it's a good thing to be with someone who has your exact same signs. Assuming that they both kind of fit the molds of what these signs are, which I, again, don't know what those personality traits are. Being with someone who's pretty much exactly like you, I don't know if that's the best way to go. I don't know if that's going to be... I feel like either you guys will butt heads or you guys will be understanding because you're like, oh, okay, I do the same thing. I understand it. And it was fine when I did it because the other person was able to be my opposite. But the fact that we're both the same in this way, let's figure out how to make this work for us. Someone hopefully maybe will be mature enough to figure that out and be like, oh, okay, what I was doing before didn't work because now we're the same and it's a problem. But I don't know. And again, I don't know if their personality traits line up with the signs because I don't know what the personality traits are for Sagittarius. No idea. But I just have that to say that if that's a sign that, not an actual sign, but if that is an indication that they are very similar in the way they do things, that's like, oh, we have stuff in common, but that could also bite them in the butt later on. Because let's say they're both stubborn. If both people are stubborn and nobody is like giving an inch, then it's like, okay, where are we supposed to go if neither one of us are willing to apologize? Like, how are we going to work this out? So, I don't know. That's just something to look for in the future because who knows? And he said to her that you're everything I envisioned. I guess, sure. But I mean, that's pretty much all I had with them. They had a little conversation. I love the fact that their conversation was at least indoors. I don't know if they requested that, but obviously this is an option. So that's the type of stuff I focus on. I'm like, girl, it's cold. What y'all doing outside? And Cameron and Claire, they are the ones who did not get married. So they're going to get married this week's episode for episode 2. Well, episode 3. They're going to get married. She says the reason why she's so single is because she's been focusing on her goals and they got in the way of her focusing on relationships. She is 27, by the way, and Cameron is 32. She wants to live and grow with someone, but not depend on them. And I said that she seems older than her years. She's also the therapist, so she's probably done a lot of self-work as well. So I assume that's why. His family's in New Zealand, but we haven't heard really about what his relationship is with his family. Because even though they're far away, he could still be close to them. But I haven't really, he's never said that. He hasn't said he's not either, but all we ever hear about his family is that they're in New Zealand. That's it. But it'd be nice to know what his actual relationship is with them and how they feel about this process, because I don't think that that has been decided at all. He moved to Colorado 10 years ago with a suitcase and $5,000. And I said, is that a man thing to travel with no plan? Because I don't understand that life. I'm too much of a planner to just get up and like, you know what? Colorado. Or I feel like maybe he closed his eyes and threw a dart at the map of the United States, and wherever it landed, was like, you know what? There we go. Let's go there and just see what happens. I don't know how to do that. And I don't want to be that way. That's just not me. So I was curious to know if that's just a man trait. She picked a sleeveless dress that had lace. She said she had issues with self-image because men haven't loved or accepted all of her. I don't know what that means. Like, all of her meaning what? All of her physically, all of her mentally, emotionally. I'm kind of curious to know what that means for her, or what she thinks that they meant when they said that. And she said she's finally comfortable in her skin again. So I said I hope that she's really attracted to her, because so speaking as someone who had low self-esteem when they were younger, it took me a long time to become comfortable in my skin, comfortable in my body, and not hiding my body like I used to. And even though you get to a place where you're finally comfortable and you're happy with what you see in the mirror every day, let a man come along who you actually care about. The people you care about the most have the capacity to hurt you the most as well. So I just put that out there, that hopefully he finds her attractive. And I don't know, I still don't feel like I have a good indication of who Cameron is, other than the fact that he seems like he takes risks, like he may be slightly impulsive. But other than that, I haven't really got a really good read on his personality. Out of all the men, I feel like I don't get a lot of who he is as a person the most. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. She is missing her brother, but she's happy her grandma is there at the wedding. He likes adventure, he says, but when they talk to him about getting married, he doesn't seem excited or eager. So he could just be a really chill dude. But I don't know, he seems just very like, oh yeah, I'm ready to get married. It's like, are you? I don't know. I don't know if that means he's dry or that means he's just really chilling and laid back. I can't tell just yet. His friends told him not to worry about her family because he's not going to live with them. So I guess that's one of the things he said, like, you know, what if her family doesn't like me, or what if I don't like them? And the friends were like, well, don't worry about them. You ain't going to live with them. That's true. But because his family is so far away, her family is essentially going to become his family. Because she is so incredibly close with her family, that means there's probably going to be multiple family dinners, family outings, them coming to your house, you going to their house. So it would help if you guys at least got along a little bit. But of course, he doesn't know that yet, but we'll see if that becomes an issue in the future. She warned her sister not to judge her new husband right away and to be patient with him. And it seems the mother and the sister are overprotective of her, and they have high expectations of her husband. I don't know what that's about. I don't know if because I know that she was a quadruplet. I don't know if she's the oldest of the quads or not, but the fact that they're so protective of her speaks to either the fact that she's the youngest, she's the oldest, or she's gone through a lot with relationships, and so that's why they're now protective of her. But we haven't really heard about any trauma she's experienced as a result of these relationships in the past, so I don't really know where that's coming from. And the fact that she had to warn them is like, okay, different. They exchanged gifts. He got her a stuffed kiwi bird that I guess is one of the birds from New Zealand. Of course, she was like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this means. I don't get it. She gave him cloth from her Scottish clan, and the cloth was plaid. It was worn by her bridesmaids. So I thought that was a nice touch to show her heritage. I thought that was cool. And I love the fact that she asked her sisters, what if he doesn't have family? And they immediately said, then we'll be his family. I love that. that's not always the sentimentality of family members. So I love the fact that that was their immediate answer. Like, oh, that's no problem at all. We got him. We're your family. That means we're embracing him too. I love that. And I love that one of her bridesmaids was wearing a jumpsuit. I thought it was really cute. It was still very formal looking and really nice. So I appreciate that was something different. She was walked down the aisle by both of her parents. Her mom told her to be true to herself, and they both told her to be kind and to protect each other. And that's pretty much all that happened with them. This week, we'll see them actually get married. But that's all that happened so far in the second episode. I will say, again, that Austin and Becca really have my heart. I think that Becca has a lot of energy. She's very upbeat. She's very excited. It seems like Austin is a little more chilled and laid back. And a lot of times, I've said this before, the experts like to put people like those together because, oh, the one who's really excitable will bring out his fun side. And the one who's kind of stoic will bring her down a little bit. Again, that's assuming that the excitable one wants to be brought down and the stoic one wants to be brought up. That may not be the case. But so far, I can't say so far, it's literally just been in their world. It's been like a couple of hours of knowing each other. But so far, I do like them the most. Michael, I don't know what's going to happen with him. Lauren and Orion, I feel like they're going to have a mutual respect for each other, if nothing else. Emily and Brennan, they're young. I think they're just going to kind of have fun at this point. I don't know how serious it's going to get in terms of conversations and in terms of interactions with them. And then Claire and Cameron, we'll see this week what happens with them. So thank you guys so much, so much for tuning into my video this week. Again, I apologize that it was so late, but I love you guys. And make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, comment below. And yeah, I'll see you guys sometime next week, maybe. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.